안녕하세요.
Beautiful twin sisters.
Sisters. Beautiful twin sisters. Beautiful twin sisters.
Guys, we are back from our Korea trip.
Yes, we're already back. Had the best time ever.
Yeah, so we're going to go deep into it because I'm sure you guys are all curious. And I'm excited to rehash it because we've been talking a little bit, but I really want to sit down with you, Mom, and see what it was like for you. Because as much as I was experiencing it for myself, I know that was a crazy trip for your own personal stuff.
Yeah.
So
it was very emotional. It's very nostalgic. And I had some proud moments
yeah.
being a Korean, returning to the country
Yeah.
after so many years. Yeah. It's amazing.
I want to ask, what was your first impression when we touched down in Korea? Did it immediately hit you when we landed at Incheon?
I think it hit me as soon as we got on the plane.
Oh, God,
I mean,
on the plane.
perhaps because we flew in style.
Yeah.
I was so impressed with the setup of the airplane.
Yeah.
And the beautiful Korean stewardesses.
I know, they were so
I
pretty.
don't know how they do it. I
Yeah.
mean, they were meticulously dressed and perfect makeup on and smile, and it was fantastic. So I knew we were going to be, really heading into some interesting and really fabulous times.
Yeah, I know. Because I feel like
Yeah.
they work so hard on the
work
freaking
so
Korean
hard.
Air.
Yeah.
And
Like
honestly,
the meals and
yeah.
the service was exceptional.
right? I'm like,
So
damn.
shout out to Korean Air. It was
Yes.
great.
We got thrown right into luxury treatment.
Yeah.
And then, did you have a favorite food that you ate on Korean Air?
I really thought the desserts were delicious
True.
and presented in such beautiful little dainty ways. And I literally feel like I ate and slept the whole time. So I couldn't finish all the stuff.
Yeah.
But the way the foods were presented was really delightful.
No, I couldn't believe, bro. I wish I was hungrier on the plane because I
Yeah.
wanted to eat everything, but then they really
Right.
just give you so
much food. Yeah, I really felt like we were overfed.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not really doing anything and you're just sitting
Sitting
there.
there, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't
and,
eat that much.
The only regret I have is that I should have slept more on the way out.
Yes.
Like other people, as soon as we were served our first meal, went to sleep. And I'm thinking, what are these people doing? It was still 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
And
in
they were
the
all
US.
sleeping.
Yeah.
But the Alexanders were not sleeping. We
Yeah.
were
We were
hanging around. We were hanging out in the back lobby. And
Of the
then by
plane.
the time we got tired, then
It was too
time
late.
to wake up.
Yeah, it was way
That
too
was
late.
the only regret.
No.
Is that I think I was too excited to go to sleep on the way out.
Yeah.
So we should have slept more. But on the
Yeah.
way back, we got a good 8 hours sleep. So
Yeah.
I felt better when I came back to the States.
Right. I think what I
Easier,
realized is
yeah.
we did everything the opposite, where when you fly to Korea, I think you're supposed to sleep even though you're not tired.
Yeah.
And then on the way home, you're supposed to stay up. But then
Yeah.
we knocked out.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit effed up
It was
by
okay.
jet lag.
Nah, I mean, it was easier than I thought. I really thought. I was worried about
Yeah.
coming back and going to work. But because I got a good sleep on the way back to the States, but I was able to adjust pretty well.
Right.
But in the first couple of days in Korea,
Those were hard.
I was getting a headache and felt a little nauseous. Yeah, so that was a little rough.
yeah. Especially the first night that we landed, we went to
Yeah,
Hongdae.
we
as
went
our
to
first
Hongdae.
stop.
It was
That
rainy
was-
a little bit.
It was kind of a doozy because we
Yeah.
chose Hongdae because it's closest to the airport.
Yeah, it's
in
closest to
Seoul.
Incheon Airport, and I heard that it was an hour from the airport
Yeah.
into the city, and I didn't want to travel another half an hour or even 2 hours to get to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked this place because it was the weekend, and I thought Hongdae is supposed to be lively place for young people,
Yes.
but it was lively in a wrong way.
Yeah, I think it was not really our vibe.
Yeah,
it was
a little crowded, and I was really surprised by how many smoking and vaping young people were,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I was a little disappointed.
Our Korean mom was not loving the smoke.
It was okay, and I think
But-
also the the rain kind of dampened the whole spirit.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
yeah.
it
was
rained quite a
downpouring.
bit for like the first couple of days while we were on Hongdae.
Right.
Which also brought up like this unpleasant smell of the
Yes.
city sewers. So
Yes.
that kind of added to the vibe of things. But overall, I thought it was a lively place.
Yeah. We were in a
Definitely
nice hotel.
We were in a fantastic hotel.
Yeah.
Hotel. The buffet was not as good as the second hotel that we went to later on, but it
Yeah.
was still nice, right?
I mean, I think, we were kind of thrown into a doozy for multiple reasons in Hongdae because the city kind of doesn't match our family's vibe.
Yeah.
We were pretty jet lagged. It was downpouring. Like, we had a pretty interesting start to the trip. That we still had a great time. It was just like, as the trip went on further, we realized how much better the other places were and how much more we enjoyed other things. Because if you didn't know, the Hongdae town, the meme is that there's Hongdae boys where they will try to rizz you up on the street and they're like all wearing black leather jackets and they're all trying to put your number in their iPhone 16 Pro Max because that's the fancy iPhone that you can have. And I feel like you can't take a step in Hongdae without stepping through a vape cloud. Like that's kind of the vibe. Everybody's vaping. But, it was pretty cool. I think there was some things we meant to do in Hongdae that we didn't do, and I think we would have had a better time if we actually got to do karaoke.
Yeah, we were too tired for karaoke.
It was just
by
too
second
much.
night, like we were just like we're going to bed.
Yeah.
So that definitely got scratched, kind of earlier. During the day. So we were a little bummed. I was a little disappointed, but in a way, I was kind of like, I don't think that we could have stayed up for that many more hours.
Yeah.
But what was actually much more pleasant surprise to me was the little sheep cafe.
Yes,
my Korean
cafe. The Korean accent popped out. Capé. The sheep capé. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Girl,
called what was it called? The Natures? What was it called over?
You'll see it in the
Something
vlogs.
Natures. But they're the cutest little sheeps and the owner was really nice. Oh my God, the funniest thing that cafe offered was it wasn't that they offered it, but the option of going to the bathroom. They said to take the little key, and then you have to take your own toilet paper.
Yeah.
So there was a stuffed animal with the bathroom key attached to it, and then you had to take toilet paper with you. So like I was so confused that I took the whole roll of toilet paper under one arm, and then the other stuffed animal on my other arm.
Oh my
And then
God.
my family was like, "You don't need to take the whole roll. You can take a little bit." I'm like, "Oh,
So no, that's something kind of new.
But it was a really charming place, though, right? They had good food.
No, that was really fun.
Yeah, that was one of the highlights of Hongdae.
Yeah, that was, I think, the highlight. But no, I think the bathroom setup, that's something that is kind of new. I know we saw that one time in Chinatown in New York City where there's no toilet paper in the bathroom. You have to grab it before you go.
Yeah.
So that's a little different. But yeah, you guys will see that in my little convenience store vlog. I'm eating out of convenience stores for 24 hours. And we'll be rolling out Korea content for a damn while because we filmed so much. So I hope you guys are freaking ready. We're going to be posting Korea vlogs for the next couple weeks, I think. So
I'm looking forward to reliving all those moments.
Right now we're in the process of editing everything and there's so much freaking footage. So yeah, just be prepared. And I hope you guys are looking forward to that. But yeah, after Hongdae, where did we head next?
After Hongdae, we went to Bukchon, which is the hanok area, which is the area surrounding the big palace, gyeongbokgung. So we stayed in this traditional style house, and you got to sleep on the floor,
the hardwood floor.
How was it? Was it bad?
I thought it was totally fine.
Okay.
But Andrew was
Andrew, of
complaining
course.
for freaking hours. I'm just kidding. He sucked it up. But yeah, the way that you sleep in those traditional houses, and this is how you grew up sleeping, right?
Yeah, with the blanket on the floor.
Yeah. You
And
just
then-
sleep on a blanket, which does not provide much. Like you are still
But
feeling.
you had the ondol, you had the floor that heated up, right? So it
Yeah,
was a
that
little
was
chilly that night. So it was
fancy.
pretty nice, right?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I am loving the warm
Yeah.
floor. But yeah, you are laying on the ground on top of a blanket, but you still fully feel like the hardwood floor underneath
it is a little
you.
tough on your
So
joints.
I know Andrew and Ashley, I think, were a little uncomfortable because they like to sleep more like on their sides, and it just hits your bones like crazy. But I lay like
Flat.
a freaking zombie just flat on my back. So I actually had a really good time there.
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite area.
Yeah.
And
It's very cute, really charming cafes and
Like
little restaurants.
That's what I would imagine
I
Korea to
loved
look
it.
like.
Yeah.
And I think it was the perfect little walkable, cutesy vibe. Like the
Yeah.
neighborhoods that we were walking around were so cute.
Yep.
And I wish that the freaking hanok had a couch. That's the only thing that bothered me.
Strangely, they had a dining table,
And that was
then
it.
they had a living room area where you just sit on the floor because that's how Korean
people-
people are. Yeah, we sit on the floor usually with a little table, sit around
Yeah.
and talk. So they did not have a big comfortable couch for
Yeah.
all of us to sit around.
And
You're right.
I feel like when you think about that, it doesn't
Yeah.
seem like that big of a deal. Like, I'll just sit at the dining room
it didn't
table.
even faze me,
That they didn't
and
have a
that's
couch.
because that's just the way I was raised. But I did have a couch growing up, but I don't know. I mean, it didn't
People
really
don't
bother
really-
me too much. Yeah, but I guess you guys were uncomfortable because you guys have to sit and edit for hours and
Yeah,
things.
I don't know. I just feel like I didn't realize how much I love to like sit and relax until there was no place to
comfy
sit and
couch.
relax.
Yeah,
I was
no
like,
comfy bed.
yeah, like I was like, oh, I can lay on the floor again.
Yeah.
Like that's how I can chill. But I really liked it, and I think if we go back to Korea, I want to spend so much more time
in that
there.
area? Yeah.
That was my favorite by far.
Yeah. So bukchon and Angguk, I think, is the area, and also we walked down to the really cutesy area that's a little bit more south. And
Yeah.
we went to that the vegan restaurant for Ashley.
Ashley,
Yeah, and that
yeah.
area is called the Insadong and Iksandong.
Okay, yeah.
And there's supposed to be really like a lot more cutesy cafes there. And we went to like a few passing by. We didn't really stop at every one of them, but it was
Yeah.
really cute.
Yeah.
A lot of cafes in Korea are just so beautifully decorated.
Oh
so
my
nice, right?
God, oh my God.
Yeah.
Guys, I made a TikTok about this place, but Dotori Cafe, that was my favorite. That was
It
my
was
favorite.
so cute. It was
That
like
was
something
like-
out of a little cartoon like drawing.
Yeah.
It was so cute.
It
yeah.
looked like a little cartoon movie, and the food was so good. And the yogurt bowl was so good. And
Yeah.
that sounds so dumb to be like, oh my God, the yogurt was so good. But like, I literally want to eat yogurt every day now because of that. But no yogurt matches up to the yogurt I had there.
Yeah. Was that good?
It ruined my freaking life.
I should
Because
have had one too.
did you have a bite of ours at least? You must have, right?
I had a little bit of like the honeycomb that was on your bowl.
Oh.
But I don't think there was much of yogurt left.
we
It's
should
fine.
have bought
It's
another
fine.
one.
You know, I was so
No.
not hungry. Because we went from...
We've been eating a lot.
Where did we
Oh,
eat
we already
breakfast?
had breakfast at another cafe.
The cafe that's
Onion.
Onion. Oh yeah, that's
And
right. You
that
guys
was good.
Yeah, and then we swung by there to look at it, but the decor wasn't as charming as the
As
dotori.
dotori, yeah.
Dotori is really cute.
Agreed.
Yeah.
No,
for
I,
sure.
everything. No, I would have stayed 10 days in Bukchon. That was
Yeah.
so amazing.
Yeah.
And while we were in Bukchon, because it's kind of near the palaces,
Mm-hmm.
we dressed up in hanboks.
Oh,
as a
that's
family.
right. Yeah. So we did a whole afternoon of dressing up in hanbok.
I honestly love dressing up in the hanboks.
You
I
look
feel like-
fantastic in
Oh,
that
thank you,
hanbok. You
queen.
picked the perfect color for yourself.
Thank you, queen.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that going into it, I didn't know what I wanted to wear exactly, but I was like, the one thing I'm not gonna wear is pink. Like I was like, I don't want to wear pink.
always looks so pretty on you.
I don't know. I was just like, I feel like pink is like one of the more common colors that I see people wear.
What
I
was
like,
the
no.
first color that you picked up and then you changed your mind about it?
I don't think I ever picked anything up. I actually just saw the pink and I was like, never
I think
mind.
we
I'm wearing
waited for
pink.
Ashley to pick out her color, and she picked a Nami
yellow.
colored dress, which was beautiful.
That was so
and
pretty
then
on her.
Everything there was more pastel-y, so we were just kind of go with colors that coordinated with
With each other. Yeah, once someone picked, then we all just kind of picked around
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I was not expecting to wear pink, but then
it was beautiful.
I gotta be honest, I think I
it
served.
reminded me of
Thank
your
you.
dress when you wore to like one of the musical concerts when
As
you
a
were little.
kid?
Yeah,
Oh my
you always picked that
God.
peachy pink color.
You were always
Brings
dressing me
out-
up in the pink. That's not
Maybe
me
that's why I
picking that.
loved it.
Yeah, I was like,
it reminded me of 10-year-old Amber.
Oh my God.
No, you look beautiful in that color.
oh, thank you.
very
no, but I
cute.
think I wasn't sure how we would feel in it.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a family, we pulled it off
Yeah.
so well. I think because we obviously are Korean, I'm like,
Yeah.
we are literally built to wear that stuff. Like, of course
You didn't
we
find it
ate that up.
too binding?
Oof. When we first put them on,
Yeah.
guys, if you didn't know, the hanbok dress
Comes
it's
right
like
up
a
to the
skirt.
underneath your arm.
Yeah, it's a skirt with like overalls, but the skirt ends like at your chest level, so it's up like cutting into your armpits.
Yeah.
And I did not know that. And then you wear a little like long sleeve shawl over top of it.
Yeah.
That shit was tight as hell.
Oh,
And
really?
there
She
was-
tightened it. Yeah.
Maybe I was wearing like too small of a size, but when she first put it on, I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe.
Oh,
and
no.
then there's so much like undergarments underneath it
Yeah.
that if you did that on a hot day,
Yeah.
I will pray for you, girl.
Luckily, we found the shaded area,
Yeah.
and that was and we didn't really walk around too much,
Yeah,
so
we
that
were
saved
chilling.
us.
We got lucky with that.
And it wasn't raining, so we were very happy that it was the first sunny day.
Yeah.
and worked out well.
Yeah.
So
So
I
I
got a lot
didn't-
of cute pictures there.
Yeah, I think when I first put it on, it was like a little much, but then after like 5 minutes of just getting used to it,
Yeah.
I loved it.
Oh,
I
cool.
actually would have worn that like every day. I
Yeah.
love taking the photos in there.
Oh,
It's so cute.
So the night before we wore our hanbok, we
Yeah.
did a night tour through changdeokgung because
Yes.
that's one of the few palaces that stay open late.
Oh, really?
And allow people to walk through at nighttime. And instead of just doing it on our own, we had a Korean man, who
guide.
spoke very good English.
Yeah.
And he was interesting. Yeah, right?
He was fun.
He was
yeah.
fun.
He was very sweet,
Yeah.
like kind of quiet man.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh my God, I cannot really
But
hear
then
exactly.
he also told us a lot of sad part of Korean history, and
Yes.
a lot of like sadness with the royal families and the disputes between siblings
Yeah.
for the title of the king. Yeah.
Did you know any of those stories before?
You know, I this sound familiar,
Okay.
and I know that was really taught in Korean history because he kept on asking me if I knew more about it, but
Yeah.
I had forgotten.
Right, it's
But
been a while.
definitely when he talked about a few things, I was like, oh, I do remember being taught that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was one that was crazy. I think this is widely because he was like really surprised you didn't remember this. The one story he told us that was really big was that I think it was like the 22nd king, something around that generation. Okay, there's 3 generations in this story. So the grandpa generation, he was king, but he was born from
Oh, a concubine instead of
yes.
the
like an
royal
actual
queen.
wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of his father having a child with his own wife, they weren't able to get pregnant, so
Yeah.
he had to get impregnate some other woman,
Yeah,
which is called
that's
the
a concubine, yeah.
And so from there, the like grandfather or whatever is born, and because he was not born from like his actual. Like he was not born like in a proper way, I guess.
Yeah.
He had some kind of like weird
Inferiority
complex
yeah.
about that. So when he had his child, he tried to toughen up his child so much that he like took him away from his own mother. Really, I forget what he like
Messed
made
him
him
up.
like study like 20 hours a day, never have any contact with like other people, stuff like that. And it led him obviously to become very like mentally unstable and like fearful of the world and stuff like that. And so he was a prince. The mentally kind of unstable son was the prince that was supposed to become king next. And that was like the whole plan. But he has his own son. He's a nice father to him. But the grandfather still doesn't want his own kind of unstable son to become king because he's like, actually, you're not cut out for this. You need to kill yourself in front of me right now.
Yeah,
And
which
let
are-
the we're going to skip you as a generation. So when the son refused to do that on the spot, the father or the grandfather said, okay, get in this gigantic barrel of like wheat and hay and sand.
It's more like a cage.
It was
that
like a little
he
cage
Put it,
box.
out on the courtyard.
Yeah.
And it took 8 days for him to die.
Yes.
Yes.
That's freaking crazy. And so
Yeah.
then the grandson would go there like every day for 8 days and like he was trying to beg with his grandfather to let the dad go and all this crazy stuff. And then eventually he passed after 8 days. And then the grandson became the next king, I
I
think.
guess
It was
so. As a
freaking
kid.
nuts.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
like, what the hell? Like, imagine your whole life getting fucked up by your dad, and then he also kills you in the most cruel way ever. Really? I don't know. So that was kind of insane to hear. And there was a lot of other interesting stuff about Korean history and like the palaces that were very kind of, I don't know, like the way that the old Korean people thought was really interesting, where there would be like, what was it? The gigantic like pools of water on the corners.
You know, Korean people are very
Superstitious.
superstitious and
Yeah.
very spiritual. So yeah, there was a big cauldron that was left empty, but I knew that story when he
that's when
asked,
you knew, yeah.
which was like, oh my God, I
got
actually
it.
remember things from my childhood.
Yeah.
And he said, do you know the purpose of this cauldron?
Of water in front of the palace.
Yeah. And I said, oh my gosh, I know that one. That's where you're supposed to fill it up with water so the evil spirit coming down will see himself in the reflection of the water and run away.
Yeah. Because
and that is,
Yeah, it's just like a weird, like, you have to think really hard to like make it make sense to be like,
no,
the scary
Korean
guy would
people-
be afraid of his own reflection. Like, what?
No, we are very superstitious. There was a lot of before like Christianity and Catholicism came into Korea. It was a lot of it was like Buddhism, but also there was a lot of like Confucius beliefs and a lot of like spiritual beliefs. I'm not really sure, but like I know there was a lot of like shaman. Is that how you say the shaman?
Shamans? Yeah.
Yeah. So like shaman will come and like try to change the spirit in the house to make it more positive, and like if they think you're like somehow possessed, they try to like chase the demons out of you. Like I remember there was a lot of that sort of belief. Yeah, which is very interesting. It's more like a primitive kind of thinking of the older generation. That still, even persists to this day.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. The guide was very sweet.
Yeah.
It took about 2 hours to walk around, and then the palace got it was after the sundown.
Yeah.
And they turned on all these lights, and it was beautiful, right?
It was really nice.
It was really very peaceful.
Yeah, so we learned all about the
beautiful
palaces,
views.
and then the next day we actually did the hanboks at gyeongbokgung.
Gyeongbokgung is where we went to do hanbok and pictures on Monday. Just know that those two palaces are open 6 days a week, but they do have 1 day a week each that they're closed. So if you plan to do hanbok and get in, make sure that you're not going there on a days that they're closed. And to a side note, we spent good amount of money renting those beautiful hanboks.
Yeah.
But it only saved us, the admission to the palace is only $3. So feel free to pay the $3 and go look at the palaces and be comfortable if you don't want to be wearing hanbok on a really hot day.
Yeah. But if you do wear the hanboks, you get them for free.
Yeah, you get
but
them for free, and
price
the lines
of
were
wearing
little.
a hanbok is like $30 to $50, I think.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
consider
You can do a little less expensive if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But we try to do the little but nicer hanbok.
Yeah, I didn't realize the ones that we wore that looked like kind of plain, those were actually the luxury ones,
I guess
right?
that's how things are. Yeah, there was another hanbok place that were very popular because they were like
sparkly and detailed.
Really detailed. So we did what they call the premium hanbok. So it was more demure, right?
Very demure. Very demure.
Little classy, little demure.
You're so right about that.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Also, while we were in Bukchon, we visited your hometown. I totally forgot. On the way to Bukchon, we went to your childhood home.
We went from hongdae and
your
then we
area.
went to changdeokgung, which is where I grew up, and then we came to Bukchon. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
but what was that like seeing your childhood home in Korea?
It was really odd. Like I wasn't really paying attention to where we were going until we made one final turn up the hill to the neighborhood.
And
as soon as we turned, my heart literally like dropped because like I realized, I know that building.
Yeah.
Like we're at the foot of our neighborhood.
Oh my God.
So I was a little overwhelmed, and to see the house, yeah, it was interesting. It was very interesting. I was really emotional. Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Because that's the house that I lived in from probably first grade all the way up to sixth grade before we left Korea. And I have the most memories there.
Yeah.
And we also took the cab up to the neighborhood, but then we walked from the house down to my elementary school. And that walk was very meaningful.
Yeah. Because you always talk about how hard that walk was and how it was up and down all these hills.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's see it for ourselves.
We only walked downhill, so it wasn't that bad, right?
If we
but imagine if you're walking up to the house.
Yeah. No, that would have been hard. And we also took so many breaks. Like we got lunch in the middle of it, and then we like stopped by a pharmacy. So if we actually did it all in one go, that would have been pretty damn tough. And to be
For a little kid, carrying a backpack.
Yeah. No, that was actually so far away. Now that I think about it, you guys didn't have a school bus? Like,
no, there's no school bus in Korea.
that was definitely like a school bus distance.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad that we walked that distance because I really wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
And although the views were different on the street, there were moments, especially when I got what was that? I got the scent of the trees that are blooming. It took me right back to childhood. So
no, that was so
it was
cute.
really
There was
very nostalgic.
Those trees were beautiful. You said they were called like acacia trees?
Acacias, yeah. In Korean, they say acacia, but I think in English it will be acacia. So these are white little flowers that hang on the trees, and they're edible.
Yes.
And I said, I eat these when I was little, so we took a little bite, and they were pretty good, right?
Freaking good.
They were good.
Yeah, they had like little drops of like honey kind of in it. It was so yummy.
Yeah, so it just took me right back to my childhood.
And they smelled like beautiful.
Yes,
I was like, wow,
really
this is
fresh.
The smell of your childhood, and it's so freaking nice.
It was nice.
And your neighborhood was very green, and like maybe it's just because it was springtime, but it was very luscious, and I was like, oh my god, it's actually beautiful.
Yeah.
But it was crazy to see how steep of a hill you lived on. Like that was straight up vertical.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Did the house look pretty similar to
House looked very similar. The wall where the paints were chipping off a little bit, that wall was not painted when I was little.
Oh.
So it was just cinder blocks.
Okay.
Also, you know how we took those steps next to the house to kind of look down into the courtyard of the house? There's a little courtyard where we used to play that was not covered, but the next tenant put like a roof over the courtyard, so you can't really see the yard when you're walking up and down the steps.
I see.
And that looked like it's been there for a while and needed some care. But
maintenance.
So I mean, the house doesn't look exactly the same, and now obviously they painted the door different color. I remember it was blue when I was little.
Yeah, and they painted it black. It was pretty dark.
Yeah. But overall, the structure was the same, and the steps that I used to sit on, those were the same. We didn't have a handrail going up and down the steps. They used to just fall right off, but now they had a handrail on it, which was interesting.
It was also kind of crazy because I guess since you lived on such a steep hill, people couldn't really have like proper driveways for each house. So instead there was like a parking lot.
Oh,
below your house.
Yeah. That little plot of land where the taxi driver dropped us off used to be just dirt. And all the neighbors used to plant like little vegetables there.
Really?
So we used to grow like pumpkins and corns and things there. It was like literally like communal garden. And that was paved over and made into parking lot, which I was sad about.
God,
And also the dirt ground on the other side that we used to like literally play in the dirt and like play games out there.
Yeah.
It was somebody's parking lot.
Yeah,
again.
it was another parking lot.
Yeah.
Like a
Well,
mini
obviously,
parking lot.
Nobody had cars when I was that little. But now everybody owns cars, and the houses were built in, new plots of land, and they need spaces for cars. So a lot of these spaces had become parking lot.
Yeah, that was pretty. I was like, why is it just a parking lot in front of the house?
Yeah, and I was thinking, where do kids play anymore? But
the kids don't
who
play.
knows? Well, there are not really that many kids in Korea, period. I was really kind of impressed.
Right.
Yeah, interested that
the birth rate is going down.
Yeah, going down, and everybody that we saw were grown-ups. There were really hardly like no babies anywhere.
It's because the ladies don't want no man. That's why they're like all
guess so.
protesting.
Yeah.
Period, ladies, you're doing great. Do not have those kids. Punish the man. I'm just kidding. But yeah, there weren't that many kids.
Yeah, even
anywhere.
at like when we went to palaces, and obviously there were a lot of tourists, but there were like some school age kids, but like I didn't see babies, I didn't see little toddlers.
Yeah.
And
not that many dogs either. But we did see
a handful
of the Korean poodles that have the funny
pampered
haircuts.
babies with the little booties and little clothes.
Oh my God, so funny.
Yeah, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
So going back home was really meaningful to me.
Yeah.
And I thank you guys for, going along with me and willing to walk a mile to school.
Obviously, yeah. That's the whole point of why we're going.
I even got to walk on the pedestrian bridge that I remember when I left. It was just newly built at the time.
Yeah.
And it was same exact way. Only additional thing that they put on was the elevator for the handicapped people.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't there before.
Oh, period.
But the actual steps and like the way it turned, I remembered all of that.
Yeah, and you were like, this is where I met my friends, and this is where we part ways. That's so cute.
It was really nostalgic. I mean, it was strange. It was, like I said, so much of Korea had changed.
Yeah.
But so much of it still stayed the same.
Yeah.
Which 40 years later, it's very interesting.
Right? It's
Yeah.
I can't imagine the like mental, I don't know, having to experience that and like seeing things that are so different versus like the little bits that have remained, like the little pharmacy we went to where we bought your drink.
Yeah,
that looked like a time capsule.
Looked the same.
So that was kind of epic. But was there any specific moment from that experience that stood out to you?
No, I really think I was already in instant tears as soon as we made that one right turn and I saw the white building where I knew was at the bottom of my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that just gave me like flood of feelings. And, it's sad in a way because I think that if my father was still around, he would really have enjoyed like going along with us. And because he's no longer here, that breaks my heart a little. And my mother is still around, but this year she wasn't able to travel because she had her knee replacement surgery. So I would love to revisit again with maybe my mom and maybe do the same thing again if she's interested. I think she's already seen it. Yeah, I think she's been back. She told me a few years ago that she came back to the house and looked at it. But it just seemed different. Like I think if I had somebody who
was like from Korea with you,
with me that grew up in that household, I think it would be a little different than showing you guys like, hey,
we're all just like
place. No, but it was all very meaningful. Yeah, I'm glad that we took the time to go out there and visit it. What'd you think of it?
I thought it was, I don't know, it was really different from what I imagined. I was imagining, obviously as a child, I've had the same image in my brain since I was like a kid when you first told me about it. And then seeing it, I was like, oh, obviously this makes more sense because like I was imagining like a literal like single hill with the one house on top and like it was made out of like wooden planks and then you like walk up these like across these like bridges over streams and like fully in the woods. But no, it was strip like pretty much in Seoul. So you walk down your like mountainous like neighborhood and then you're in the city and then your walk to school is kind of through the city. And I was like, oh, I should have known that you weren't fully in like this uncivilized forest.
Village.
Like you were like in Seoul. But yeah, so it was interesting to see like it was a pretty normal looking place. But it was a long walk. So you were right about that.
Yeah. So after the travel between Hongdae to Hanok, after Hanok's day, which was really cute. We went to Myeongdong.
Yes, which is really popular.
Myeongdong is like probably the most well-known and most popular area amongst the tourists, foreigners. And we stayed in a little suite called UH Suite, which is good for, if you're traveling with a big family. You can stay in this one hotel where all the rooms are joined into this like living room area, and we had a nice comfy couch there. It was like
an apartment style hotel. So we were
and
all
it was comfortable, but it didn't.
Nice.
The hotel didn't have any amenities. There was no food, there was no gym, but it was just solid, living space. And it was good. What did we do in Myeongdong? I feel like those days were just so
kind of a
quickly.
blur as well. I don't know.
We went to the street venue by ourselves while
street vendors,
Andrew and Ashley were shopping in the. What's at the Lotte Mall?
Something crazy ass mall.
Yeah, it was some high end mall. We were just like, we're out of here. Me and Amber went look for food.
Of course. No, at least Andrew and Ashley always have each other to go walk around shopping together, and then me and you have each other to find the food.
So that was interesting, right? It was crowded. It was a little hectic, but
I liked Myeongdong. I think. Our friend Allison Ho, if you guys obviously know Allison, she says Myeongdong is her favorite area. And then we asked her for recommendations and she sent all these recs from like a completely different part of Myeongdong. Oh my God, Myeongdong versus where we actually stayed. So I think there's other parts to Myeongdong that are more popular amongst like the girlies.
We were right by the the trains, they're the major Seoul station. There's a major subway station.
Yeah.
But I think if you go toward the cathedral, like which is a little bit more east side, I think there's much more pleasant areas there.
I thought it was fun. I just think we probably didn't see like the right parts of it.
I don't really think we saw much of it, just because I
it.
think we were like running through it to get to our hair appointment, remember?
Yeah, we just
spent a
kind
lot
of
of time there.
Yeah.
And then from there, we went straight to. Did we go straight to Namsan?
I don't know.
Yeah,
we did a lot of activities.
We stayed in Myeongdong, but we spent a lot of time visiting other places.
areas.
Yeah, so we didn't really get to like walk the streets as much. But that's the area where we went up to Namsan.
Tower.
Yeah, Namsan Tower. And that was good, except walking back was really difficult on my knee.
And whose fault was
I don't
that?
know. Yeah,
I'm
I
kidding.
should have bought round trip ticket on the gondola back and forth. But
Yeah.
I said, well, let's take the thing up and then walk back down. Walking back down took almost an hour.
Yeah.
And,
so if you guys didn't know, the Namsan Tower is the tallest tower in Korea, right?
I think so. I think it may be one of the tallest towers in like the world, they said.
Period. It looks like the Seattle Space Needle pretty much, but it's also on top of this hill. And then you can buy tickets on this gondola to get like transported up to the top. And we only bought the tickets up because mom was like, let's walk the way down. And then as soon as we actually had to do it, we were like, oh, this was actually kind of a crazy idea. Because I think like Andrew and Ashley had the stamina to do it. So they're like, come on, guys, let's just go. But
I mean, the views were beautiful. There
Yeah.
were some, areas where it's like, picturesque areas where you can pull over and look. And it was really nice. But it was a longer walk than I expected. I was
Well,
thinking maybe
yeah.
like 20-minute walk. Instead, it turned out to be like almost an hour walk downhill.
It is
a lot
up
of
a mountain.
steps.
Yeah. I mean, the walk was nice though. Like they
Yeah.
fully had like these nice steps going all the way up and down the mountain.
But then once we got down to the bottom of the hill, I was like, let's take a cab or let's take the bus. And you guys were like, no, it's only 10 more minutes. And I was like, oh, I was in pain.
Yeah. Well, at least we can say we did it. Like we walked
did it.
from the tower to our hotel.
Yeah.
Beast mode.
Yeah, it was nice. I got to see that's such a huge monument in Korea to visit. So we did that, but that's probably why we didn't get to see Myeongdong because we spent just about the whole day out there.
Outside. doing
Yeah.
other stuff.
Yeah.
What was also interesting is that in Myeongdong and other areas, we had a mix of obviously Korean food, like traditional Korean food that was so delicious, and also some American food because we were like, let's just try it. We had some really good Italian food, like pasta.
Yes.
I know you guys went with Ashley to
Italian restaurant. It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised. It was one of the best pastas I ever had.
Isn't that
It was
crazy?
cooked perfect. Yeah.
Korea is pulling out the amazing pasta. And there was some other like breakfast cafe where we also got pasta and that was really good.
Yeah, that was a shout out to Cafe 04293
It's a random
in
name.
Hanok, and they made these beautiful souffle dishes.
Yeah.
And it was huge. Like I was expecting it to be like a small plate.
Yeah.
And it was one of the best breakfasts
That we had.
there.
It's
It was a
in-
beautiful place.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah.
our vlog. It's also like if you see the photo of Andrew eating like a delicious salmon bowl, that's where it's from. Holy crap. I'm trying to take a video of Kitty because she's pawing at the window like a freak.
You think there's a
What's she
squirrel
doing
or,
over
Let me
there?
see, is there a squirrel or a rabbit?
I'm going to insert this video for you guys because she's been doing this for like a full minute. I've never seen her do that.
There's nothing there.
Okay,
I don't
now
know what
she
was
stopped.
doing. Yeah.
What the hell was that, Kitty? I don't know. But yeah, very random. Like I really am not a pasta fan. I feel like that's one of my least favorite foods. But then Korea had the most delicious pastas I've ever tried. And I was like, maybe I like pasta now. But that was interesting because I've also seen, obviously from Culinary Class Wars, the cooking show that we watched together, that Korea is really big on like Italian food and other cultures as well.
I think Korean people, when they think of Western food, they call it Western food.
Yeah.
That it's automatically Italian
Italian.
food. Yeah. So a lot of pasta, a lot of steak served with pasta.
Yeah.
That's one little hole in the wall restaurant that we found was really delicious.
Yeah. And I think also what's funny is that you had like compiled all these places that you wanted to go to. And I remember seeing that as an option.
Yeah.
And looking at the menu, I was like, oh no, I do not think this looks good. Because but obviously it turned out being amazing. Because when you look at the menu of those places that are doing like Western fusion type of stuff, they pair together things that are like in my head and not supposed to go together. And it's almost like uncanny valley of food. Because I'm like, why are you putting pasta noodles on the same plate as a salad and like an egg souffle and I was like, what is this like strange pairing of stuff? But then when you eat it, you are like, holy
Each
crap.
item is just delicious.
They're so good.
Yeah, it was
and
good.
even together, it makes perfect sense somehow. I'm like, how did they know these flavors would be so good? But yeah, so that was really interesting to taste the other cuisines that are sold in Korea and the vegan food as well. You found a lot of restaurants for Ashley that were really freaking good.
Yeah, I didn't want Ashley to miss out on, enjoying Korean food. And some of the restaurants are very limited to vegetarian people, vegan people. So we took Ashley to a couple of the vegan restaurants. And I thought their food was delicious. Yeah,
some of the best food of the trip, might I say.
What'd you think of the fish sushi place that you went with Andrew?
Oh, yeah. Well, you guys got Italian. Me and Andrew got sushi.
Yeah.
It was good, but also, I don't know.
A little different?
I wish I got more sushi on the trip because that was my only sushi experience. And I don't know what happened, but they added so much sugar to the rice that I was like, what? I've never tasted
Actual sushi rice?
this. Yeah, like the nigiri pieces had the sweetest rice ever. And it almost made me feel like sick by the end of it because I was like, oh my God, I'm eating strip sugar. And that's not how it's supposed to be, I'm pretty sure. So I wish I had gotten some more fresh fish on that trip. But I think it was fun. Me and Andrew had a good time.
Yeah.
He loved it because I bought him a beer and then he turned bright red and he loved to be away from the parents and chugging a beer.
I see.
Wow.
What I really loved as part of our repertoire of food there.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything glamorous, but we went to a 24-hour kimbap place called the Labab.
Labab. I don't know why.
Was great.
It was so good.
So many options. I love kimbap, right? Which is the seaweed rolls with all the stuff inside.
Like Korean sushi, kind of.
I mean, they had so many selections and everyone was delicious. Yeah.
It was
and
amazing.
their donkasu was perfect, right?
Yeah, we got that twice.
Yeah. It was so good that we went back for it. So donkasu is the Japanese style pork cutlet, breaded and fried, and it was just so yummy. And believe that it's 24 hours open. We went at like 10 o'clock one night.
I know.
And it was open.
You got like perfect
oh my
food.
God, it was great.
Yeah.
I love that. I can eat that every day. Like, I don't need a fancy restaurant. Like,
No, right?
Send me to a labab and I'll be happy.
Yeah. I wish oh my God, I would have stayed in Korea for like a month.
A few more days, yeah.
Or a few more days
definitely.
at least because there
Yeah.
was so much good food. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
I was so sad to leave.
Yeah, everything was delicious. I think only thing that tripped us up was we went to a mala place and we ordered level 1, but it was like 100. It was so spicy
spiciness?
that we couldn't eat it. So unfortunately, we left a lot of food on the table and we just kind of
No, that was sad.
left there. Yeah.
That was Ashley's idea. She loves
I
mala,
know.
but I
It
think
did have decent vegetarian options, so I think that's why we went. But we should have chosen 0 spice level.
Yeah.
But who would have thought one would be that spicy? It
no,
was
it
red.
was
It
bright red. Like
bright
every
red.
bite had like an entire
Pepper.
tablespoon of chili flakes in it. I was like,
Yeah, I
all
can't
right.
imagine. Like it went all the way up
Okay.
to like level 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you eating then?
Can you
Just
imagine?
spoonfuls of it? Like,
yeah,
what?
how can you eat it that spicy? I really thought one was gonna come out like just a little tinge of stuff. I mean, it was solid
Nor.
paste of
I don't
red.
get it.
Yeah.
There's some other stuff. Whenever something was labeled as spicy, we just should not have ordered it because there was
not
some
in
food
Korea. When
that
it
was
says,
crazy.
Yeah, when it says it's a little bit spicy, you're like, oh, this is not a little bit.
But
Yeah.
I was also really happy that we got tteokbokki on the street a couple times.
Yeah.
And that was not too spicy.
We
I
went to that
love
really,
the tteokbokki.
literally like the little corner store
Yeah.
where the school kids came out after school and they were
No,
eating
it was
tteokbokki.
so
Yeah, that was
cute.
so cute.
No, I loved.
Yeah.
There were moments of the trip where it was just like me and you walking around, or there was a time where just Andrew and I got dinner. And I think when I had like those moments, just one on one with the family members, those were some of my favorite moments because like we just got to have like that little special moment together where like we got the tteokbokki and we saw the school kids and we got served by that nice old lady, and it was so good. So that was one of my favorite memories. And
I'm glad.
yeah, I'm excited. Oh my God, I can't wait for you guys to see the freaking vlogs because it was so magical.
Yeah.
And I was so happy because I thought I thought the tteokbokki would be really spicy because it usually is.
It
But
looked
was
spicy,
good.
but that one wasn't bad. Yeah.
And it was
that
still-
neighborhood had really cute little alleys that you walk down, and it was just beautiful.
No,
Yeah,
right?
magical. Yeah.
We should have just taken more
Walked
time to
around.
just
We
chill
should've.
and walk
Yeah,
around.
we should have just walked around a little bit more.
So nice.
It was
But
really fun.
We did also end our trip in Gangnam.
Yes, so we went from
Gangnam
Myeongdong
style.
to Gangnam, and we stayed in Gangnam a little bit longer than the other areas.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it was nice.
It was nice.
Really nice. Maybe because the hotel was nice.
We stayed in the bougie hotel.
We stayed
to
in
end
a
the trip.
nice hotel.
Yeah.
Grand Intercontinental Seoul Parnas.
Parnas,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, they had the best buffet. Breakfast buffet.
That was fire.
You couldn't beat that. That was something else,
That
right?
was epic,
I wanted to
yeah.
get up extra early just
Just
so
to
I
eat
could
more,
spend a
yeah.
little bit more time
No.
in the dining
So
area.
nice.
It was good. Yeah, that was a great experience. And people were very polite there. A lot of
Yeah.
like help with the concierge and the front desk.
Yeah.
People were very pleasant. Yeah.
Gangnam looked like the biggest city, like out of every part of Seoul.
Mm.
And it was also, I think in my opinion, it was walkable, but it felt the least walkable. Like walking on the street wasn't as enjoyable for me as the other areas because it was so
Oh, built
like
up?
kind of corporate looking there.
Oh, yeah.
So that was my opinion of Gangnam. I think Andrew and Ashley loved it for the shopping and the hotel was really nice.
Yeah.
But I think my personal ranking of where we stayed would be number 1, Bukchon by far. Number 2, Myeongdong.
Yeah.
Number 3, Gangnam. Number 4, hongdae.
Yeah, hongdae. You
And I
can
think if
take
we
that out of
we
the
could
next
have skipped the
trip.
hongdae,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, no hate to hongdae. We love the hongdae guys still. But I think next time if we were to plan our trip again, I would
Yeah.
want to go to Seongsu.
Sangsu is near Gangnam, but on the other side
of
of
the
the
river.
water. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause
And it's
we-
supposed to be really a upcoming area.
Yeah, it seems like because as soon as we started posting all our Korea stuff,
Yeah.
all of our comments were like, "You gotta go to
Seongsu.
Songsu, go to this place in Songsu," and I was like, "Damn it,
We
why
were
did
there.
We were there a
at
good
that
amount
March Sherwood store
for like
That's
a couple hours.
Couple of
yes,
hours.
yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like now that we went once, we got a good idea of what we like and don't like.
Yeah.
and I'm excited to like
Rediscover.
narrow down, like
Yeah.
rediscover it and
Yeah.
like do more of the stuff that we enjoyed and like knock off some of the things that we don't need to do a second time.
Sure.
And I hope that we can go with some of your family again. Because
Yeah,
we'll try and make it work.
Yeah, we met up with my dad's younger sister.
Yes.
And that was a sweet moment.
Yes. Oh my
God. My
God.
aunt was so sweet. She
She
was
was
so
so
happy
cute.
to see me. And I recognized her like a block away. As soon as
know.
I looked out the window, I knew that was her. And
was
she was
really
so happy
sweet.
to see me. And she was so sweet. We had a great lunch. It was really good.
Yeah, it was
that was
with-
good food, right?
Really good. We got
Really good
Korean
food.
barbecue with
yeah,
them.
really at a fancy
my
restaurant.
God.
It was nice.
Yeah, we saw her
So-
and then like four
all
of your
my
cousins.
four of my cousins also came along, and it was really nice. I've seen some pictures of them over the years, and I recognized them instantly when I saw them.
But you
so-
hadn't seen any of them in over 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like none of them came into the States, so I never saw any of them. Yeah,
That's so crazy. Because
yeah,
I feel like I know most of your mom's side ended up in the States.
yeah.
For some reason in my head, I couldn't keep track of who was on your mom's side or your dad's side. So I just thought like everyone came over. I didn't realize your whole dad's side basically
My
was
whole
still
dad's side is in Korea, and just a few of my mother's side are here. We still have more in Korea from my
Right.
mother's side there. So
was
that was
crazy.
interesting. Yeah. And then we saw my imo, who is my mom's younger sister. And she was
Yeah.
very cute. And
She was
get
so
this,
cute.
we saw our cousin from Boston in Seoul.
Oh,
and we
yeah.
watched the baseball game with
Yes,
them.
that
Remember?
was so fun.
That was fun. That was
Yeah.
quite an
Yeah,
experience.
they
right?
happened to be visiting at the same time. And we're like, oh, let's hang
I was
out.
like, instead of meeting up in Boston, how about we meet up in Seoul?
And we had the best time.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun.
Korean baseball games are different. And the food
Yes,
was
the
so good.
Food
Oh my
options were
God.
fantastic.
I want to go back.
And the cheering crowd was crazy over the
No,
top,
it was
right?
so
It was
good.
so funny. They had like these coordinated movements and dances and songs, and it was really lively.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we got to experience that. That
Yeah.
was fun. That was a fun
so
night.
amazing.
Yeah.
No, I think the most meaningful moments were definitely the times that we spent with your family, especially the ones that were from Korea, obviously. 'cause
Yeah.
it was so nuts to meet them. And I think they'd all seen like some baby photos of us as kids. So they kind of recognized us and it was like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Ah. But it was so nuts to see people that look so much like us and like grandpa.
Yeah, you
and
saw some resemblance on my cousins, right?
Yeah, it was weird to see people I'd never met that were like obviously our family because they look like our family. And I was like, ooh. Bro, I don't even know. I was getting really emotional. Like, I forget at what points I was crying, but I think at your childhood home, I think I was crying. And when your Como and your cousins left, I was crying. And I was like, this isn't even like, I don't know. It was weird because I obviously had never met any of those people and I'd never been to these places. But I was just like, oh my God, it's so freaking like moving and like, I don't know. Like I was like, why am I crying? I guess it makes sense to cry, but like, why am I so emotional? It was freaking weird. But in those moments, I also wish that like your sister or like someone was there that could understand it with you. Because I was like, damn, mom is just on her own. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like,
no, I would like to return again with my sister and my mom
I'm
one
like,
of these days.
I wish that you were, I don't know, I would love to see like you and your sister and your mom all back at your childhood home one day and be like experiencing it together. Because I feel like that's what would really matter. But I was so happy to just see it and
thank you.
understand it. It was so freaking crazy.
No, it was an amazing trip. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're already trying to plan the next one. We'll see. I don't know when it'll happen, but
hopefully we'll return again and make it a longer trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's stay for a freaking month.
Yeah, let's do a month. Why not?
Why not? Wow. Actually, also, before we wrap up the pod, last episode, I asked you to make some predictions about the Korea trip. And now I'm going to see how your actual experience matched up with them.
And what predictions were those?
First question was, what do you think would be your favorite area in Seoul? So which area ended up being your favorite?
I think I have to agree with you. I think where the bukchon was, like the Insadong and Anguk area, I think is probably my vibe.
Yeah.
I do like Gangnam, but you're right. It's a little colder, a little bit more corporate feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would definitely stay a little bit outside Myeongdong, near that palace area because it's just beautiful. Yeah.
Super nice. Yeah. Okay, period.
Yeah.
And then did you have any standout favorite bites of the trip? What was the best thing you ate?
I mean, it's really cop out, but I love the kimbap from Labab.
That's not a cop out. That's a good answer.
Because that's not a glamorous Korean dish or anything at all. But I thought the kimbap there was fantastic.
Of course. No, that was so good.
Yeah. And all the hype about the salt bread, it was okay.
You're right. I did not care for the salt.
It was like bread. I was like,
It was literally just bread that had a pool of grease at the bottom.
Maybe if we had it like warm, like it had just come out of the oven, then I'm sure it would be a lot more fantastic.
Yeah.
But they were so busy that they had prepared all these batches of bread already ahead, and you just go up and you order your thing and then you take it to go. Yeah. And by then it's already cooled down, and it was good, but it wasn't like any earth. Yeah, it was an earth-shattering like moment, right?
I took like one bite. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need more.
It was okay.
That wasn't. I mean, maybe we got to try it again because I'm like, there's no way. There's no way people are that obsessed with the salt bread, and it was just
and there was a line. We actually waited in line for that, right? Like it wasn't a long line, but
and
that
we
was
went
somewhere.
To place. We went to
the place that's near Hongdae, but a little bit north of Hongdae. I forget the name of that area, but yeah, it was the place.
What was that, guys? What was that?
Okay. It was
guys,
okay.
If you've had salt bread, comment down your honest opinions because I'm just confused more than anything. I got to be honest.
It was okay.
We'll try again.
Yeah, maybe we'll try it again when it's like hot and fresh out of the oven. Maybe it'll be like amazing by then.
Yeah. I'll also say for my favorite bite of Korea, the thing that stands out to me the most is the yachae hotak.
We went to Namdaemun Market for the famous, the infamous, hotak.
Yes. No, it was so good. And it wasn't like a traditional hotak, which is like
it tastes like donut.
Yeah. So if you don't know, hotak is like a kind of a what's it called? Like mochi like pancake?
No, it's just flour usually. Like,
but it has a little. It has tapioca flour in it. It's a little chewy. Yeah. So it's like a pan fried little pancake that's filled traditionally with brown sugar, nuts, cinnamon, and it's so good. But it has a little chew to it. But this place that's really popular kind of just like fries it, and it turned into like a crispy donut. And they had the traditional filling that was sweet, and then they also had one that was yache or vegetable.
Yeah.
So it was filled with japchae noodles and veggies.
And aren't you glad you bought an extra one?
Yes,
because you
I am
said,
glad.
I just need one just to taste it. I was like, you really want two? Because
Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah.
And it was
Mom
yummy.
knew.
Yeah.
It was freaking good.
Yeah.
Because it was so crisp and light. And they brushed this like soy sauce, delicious like, I don't know,
It was
glaze
so
on
cheap,
it.
right?
It was so cheap.
It's so cheap. I
And-
forget the price, but it was so affordable.
The balance of flavors was superb, and it was so good that even our dad beasted like a whole one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, if dad ate the whole thing, you know it's good. Like that was so freaking good.
Yeah, no, that was really a
Delicious.
highlight. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Then the next question is, how comfortable were you from a scale of 1 to 10 with your Korean speaking skills?
You know, I would have to say I probably understood about 90%.
Nice.
They were moments where I had to tell them like, tell me in simple terms what you just said.
Yeah.
And they would like repeat it back to me. Then I understood. But there's certain terms that I just don't know because they're adult terms, and you know,
Right,
like
like
the regulations at hotels, and like they're asking me to like sign this, and I'm like, I don't know what you
transportation
just
stuff,
said.
it's
Yeah.
like- yeah.
But yeah, I would say 90%, and I was pretty comfortable. I felt like I blended right in. There was one day where I traveled on the subway by myself.
I know.
And I was looking around thinking like, do I blend in? Like, do I stick out? Like, would they know I'm American? Like, it was just weird feeling.
No, you
But,
were good.
Yeah. So it was overall a great experience. Although that's the day that I got lost because I had to transfer on the subway line.
Yeah.
And I made a mistake of anyway. So,
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
I learned. So I feel like I'm much more prepared for next time.
Yeah.
When we go back to Korea, I would know how to, navigate my way through the subway system. And the bus was surprisingly very convenient to use.
Yeah.
And the bus line was really timely. Like it was really convenient way to travel.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll use that more instead of walking around for miles and miles.
Yeah.
And that was
That's
exhausting.
the way.
Yeah.
Make use of that public transport. Oh my God.
Public
Yeah.
transportation in Korea was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really well run. And how about that subway? It was beautiful, nice and
Subway.
clean.
Why can't the
Subway.
New York subway be
Right.
like that?
I mean, it was pristine. People were organized. They play a
No.
little music before the trains, the little subway thing comes on.
Yeah.
It was really efficient. It was
No.
a beautifully run orchestra of transportation.
Right?
It was really
literally.
neat. Yeah.
It kind of pissed me off because I was like, you're telling me this is possible
Yeah.
and we just don't have it in New York. Like,
Right.
I'm sure we can fix it.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can rebuild parts of the New York.
I mean, just for the safety reason, like those glass walls between
Right.
like the platform and the train.
No,
like,
I'm like,
how
please.
about that? Yeah.
No, I really need
Yeah.
that.
No, I thought it was really impressive.
Yeah. As a final question, how did Korea compare to like your mental expectation that you had for it?
I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised how nice everybody was.
Oh, nice.
I was kind of worried traveling, from America back to Korea that sometimes Korean people can be a little abrasive. And also, I was afraid that they were going to be abrasive toward us for not being full Koreans. And that sort of thing. So now I realize those were unnecessary worries.
Yeah.
I found Korean people to be very warm. Even when we got on the bus without enough money on our T-Money card, I thought he was going to kick us off. But we managed. Then shout out to the Korean American girl that saved us with her
Thank you.
T-Money card. Thank you, whoever you are.
Yeah.
If we ever see you again, we will
Thank you.
definitely buy you, coffee or something.
Yeah.
I did pay her back for the amount that
yeah.
she swiped us in, but she saved us because I literally thought the driver was going to yell at us to get off the bus, but it worked out.
No,
so,
that was nuts.
yeah, I thought they were very pleasant people, which, I don't know why. I thought like they were going to be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more abrasive. And I didn't really see a lot of that. Maybe because we stayed in, nice areas and
Yeah.
nice hotels and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised by my own people.
Nice. Yeah. I know. It was funny. I feel like you had a lot of worries going into
Yeah.
it. And another thing that we got wrong, was you really prepped us for meeting your elderly relatives.
and not to hug them and stuff. And they were all like, oh.
Yeah, no, you were like, do not touch them, only bow. Do not pick up your spoon until the oldest person at the table picks up their spoon. So we had all these rules locked into our head. And I'm like, I'm not going to break these rules because I want to be respectful.
My cousin just started eating without my komo eating.
Yeah, no, and
sorry.
I feel like no, it's funny. But like we were trying to be so rigid with the rules that you gave us that your elderly relatives were like, come on, like loosen up a bit, like eat the food. And I was like, I can't eat the food. And they're like, no, just start eating. I was like, no, I can't. And then eventually we all started eating. So that was funny. I think the traditional rules have changed. They must have. If that's the rules you remember as a kid, they're definitely not the same anymore.
I guess.
But it was nice. I think it was good that you prepped us. And even if it didn't match up totally, at least we tried.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. But I loved going to Korea with you, and I can't wait to go back. Yeah, I'm excited to see more. I feel like there's much more like variations that we can do in the future. Like we could do a girls trip. We could do a trip with our 할머니. We could go with my auntie and stuff like that. And I'm excited to see how much we're able to do. Like I want to do as much as I can. Now that we've done it once, I'm like, let's just do it a million more times.
Now that
like,
we did it, I know it's possible, and that it was actually easier than I imagined.
And it'll only get easier as it keeps going too.
I hope so.
So
I look forward to it.
Yay! Good. Oh, so I guess we should get into our favorites of the week, and maybe we'll do a little Korean trip version of them. Our favorite thing and our favorite thing about ourselves.
Okay.
I'll say my favorite thing of the Korea trip was spending time with the family, doing something so totally new together, and of course all the delicious food, which you guys will see in the vlog. So I could shout out every single thing we ate, but just trust me, you guys will see it soon. And then favorite thing about myself, I am happy that I got a lot of it filmed. I think that you guys will be properly fed with Korean content. So I'm just happy that as much as we were living in the moment, I also got some really cute videos out of it. So I'm excited for you guys to see those.
I'm glad.
Period. What are your favorites?
My favorites of the week had to be meeting my komo.
Yes.
She's in her 80s, and she was so warm, and just the way I remember her. So yeah, that was very meaningful. So that was my favorite moment. And my emo too. Just seeing the older relatives still doing well in the home country.
Literally, thank God. They were so healthy. It seemed like they were like running up the stairs. They looked young.
The Korean beauty must be working for them because they looked fantastic.
No, I was like, wow, they look good.
Yeah. So
they were active. It was nice.
Yeah, it was so nice to see them. And I had that tinge of sadness when I say goodbye to them because, I hope they live many more years where I can go back and see them again. But that makes me... really emotional because I don't know when I would ever see him again. But that was my favorite moment, was seeing my komo. Yeah,
I think we'll see them a lot more. I think let's hope maybe next year we'll be back. Yeah,
maybe we'll go next year again.
It's okay, mommy.
So that was good.
They seemed so good. I think they will be kicking it for another few years.
I hope so.
Definitely.
Yeah. And favorite thing about myself was that my Korean language skill was better than I thought. Let's go.
Let's go. It was good.
I knew I was proficient in conversation things, but I was still worried that things were going to glitch up. And, every once in a while, my Korean accent and just my English accent, I should say, in my Korean language came out and confused some people. But it was proficient. I got by. I didn't have to pull up my translation app all the time. Although, you know what really tripped me up? Never mind.
What?
It was the washer and dryer at one of the places where we stayed. I couldn't figure it out. So I had to translate some of the instructions there. But anyway, that's because it's a different model than what we're used to here. But I'm glad to say that my Korean language skill was proficient enough to get by in Korea, and I don't have to worry about it, being this perceived as an American, Korean person. Maybe they knew. They just let me slide.
No,
but I feel pretty comfortable there.
No, you helped us so. I don't know how we would have made it through the trip without you because you really knew how to get around. So thank you, Mom, and you did a great job. I know you were nervous, but you killed it.
Thank you.
I don't think there was a single moment that you didn't. I don't know where you tripped up at all. You were good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There were little moments, but it was a learning experience, and it will be better prepared for next time.
Yeah, we learned a lot of stuff.
We did.
Period.
It was a really good family trip.
Yes.
Thank you, Amber.
Of course, Mommy.
And thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley. And thank you to the whole family. It was so
thank
fun.
you.
I can't wait to do this again. And I'm so proud of you for
Amber.
making I know this is a freaking big deal and we did it.
Yeah, I don't know what I was afraid of. And just like, I don't know. We kept on postponing it.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was a big trip, but it was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
Amber.
freaking loved it.
Good.
Well, thank you guys for listening. And I hope you enjoy the influx of Korea content that's coming your way. I'm so excited for you guys to watch it all. And I can't wait to rewatch it myself. So we'll see you guys in the next videos. Thanks for watching. Bye. Beautiful Twin Sisters, out.
All my
Beautiful twin sisters.
sisters, beautiful twin sisters, beautiful twin sisters.